Alex, Mia just took the stand a couple of minutes ago now, and she's really getting into what it was like to work for Sean Diddy Combs. She says that it was toxic, chaotic, it was exciting, that the highs were really high, that the lows were really low. And she talked about multiple instances of alleged violence. She says that Combs threw her against the wall, threw things at her, threw her into a pool. And she told jurors that he has also sexually assaulted her. Now, as you mentioned, her testimony comes after we heard from celebrity stylist Deontay Nash. In his cross-examination before he wrapped up, the defense suggested that he may have made up a claim about Cassie Ventura feeling pressured the night of her 29th birthday to do a freak-off with Combs.
He used to show several things. Once, we're going to see the abuse, the violence continue. We also have to remember that she is an employee, so she's also going to speak to that forced labor. Again, that is part of the RICO and the underlying enterprise for criminal activities. And forced labor, as we know, is illegal if you're not paying people. So we see her talk about the long hours and other things. So that's also what her testimony is used for.
Well, Mia, Alex, as we know, is one of the 4 alleged victims that this federal case against Sean Combs is really primarily based on. So in her testimony, we're going to be hearing a lot more about these alleged instances of violence and coercion and forced labor, as Shauna mentioned, as prosecutors try to show that Combs ran a criminal enterprise. They say that he used his power and his money to coerce women into sex. So we're going to be seeing them laying out their case over the next couple of weeks here.
All right, Rena and Shauna, thank you.
Day 12 of Sean Diddy. Combs' sex trafficking and racketeering trial saw stylist Deontay Nash return to the stand for further cross-examination by the defense. On Wednesday, Nash testified that he witnessed Combs assault his former on-and-off girlfriend Cassie Ventura on several occasions. Nash also said that Ventura had told him that she didn't want to partake in the group sex parties known as freak-offs, including one on her 29th birthday, allegedly orchestrated by Combs. The prosecution's contention that Ventura was sex trafficked hinges on such alleged coercion. Thursday also brought testimony from Mia, the pseudonym for an alleged victim and former employee of Combs. According to Nash's testimony, Mia was present during an incident in which Combs brutally beat Ventura until her head bled. Mia is also expected to speak about the events leading up to Combs' alleged 2011 break-in of the home of Scott Mescudi, better known as Kid Cudi, supposedly spurred by Mescudi's romantic entanglement with Ventura. Combs has pleaded not guilty to criminal charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. While Combs' defense team admits that he was violent toward Ventura, they contend he is not guilty of the charges he is facing in this trial, which could send him to prison for life if he is convicted on all counts. The defense has suggested that Ventura was a willing participant in the freaks-off. Sean Combs referred to freak-offs with Cassie Ventura and male escorts as hotel nights, said Mia, a former employee of Combs who had to clean the nightmare rooms afterward. Mia described candle wax everywhere and wet towels all over the rooms. We previously heard testimony from a hotel manager whose staff flagged Combs as a chronic wax spiller. She testified she saw broken glass, water all over the floor, sometimes blood, which Combs explained was period blood. Hotel nights were followed by long stretches of rest the couple would refer to as man down. Mia continued, when Combs and Ventura would hole up in the hotel room and sleep for a day or 2 or 3. Mia described the mood at Sean Combs' Los Angeles home as dark and ominous. On December 22, 2011, when Combs found out Cassie Ventura was dating the rapper and actor Kid Cudi, Combs allegedly broke into Cudi's home that day and later, also allegedly, brutally attacked Ventura. Mia, a former Combs assistant testifying under a pseudonym, was at Combs' home that morning, preparing to leave for a trip to New York City. She only briefly saw Ventura at a distance in a black SUV. The energy felt really bad, but in a different way than normal, Mia testified. She had never seen Ventura do something to cause Combs to be upset in the way he was that day. She said, the court is back after the lunch recess, with Judge Aru Subramanian alerting the jury that they may be held longer than usual, later than 3 p.m., but before 4 p.m., he assured them. Subramanian reiterated that these changes are because he wants the trial to be over before the July 4th holiday. Analysis. 2 witnesses corroborate Ventura's depiction of Combs to close friends of Cassie Ventura. corroborated key details of the singer's testimony Thursday morning, portraying Sean Combs as a violent and controlling man who held her career in his hands. Deontay Nash, a stylist employed by Combs' company, Bad Boy, who considers himself a friend of Ventura, testified about a birthday party during which he saw her and Combs arguing. Later, Ventura told Nash that Combs was making her go to a hotel. He said, according to Ventura's own testimony of that event, Combs pushed her to do a freak off that night, despite her saying she didn't want to. Nash previously testified that Combs got violent with him at times, and described an incident when Combs allegedly threw him against a car and choked him. The reason, Nash said, was that Combs was upset about Nash and Ventura going out to clubs together. Nia, an ex-employee of Combs testifying under a pseudonym, echoed Ventura's previous testimony when she recalled a night in 2010 when Combs got upset with Ventura and Mia for attending a party hosted by the musician Prince. We had to be wherever Puff told us, Nia said. After the Prince party, Nia said, she was suspended without pay for being insubordinate. Lawyers spar over when witnesses get to go home. There was a testy exchange in court just before the lunch break. While the jury was out of the room, Sean Combs' lead counsel, Mark Ignafilo, raised a concern about the prosecution's pattern of telling the judge about its witnesses' flights home. He accused the government of trying to get the court on its side and effectively set deadlines for when a witness's testimony should end, which can pressure the defense to speed up its cross-examination. Judge R. Subramanian sternly countered that it was common courtesy. We have not cut short the testimony of any witness, Subramanian said, noting that Deontay Nash was kept an additional day to accommodate the defense's lengthy cross-examination of the celebrity stylist. Nash's cross-examination was around twice as long as his direct questioning. The government said, to be absolutely clear, you are not constrained in terms of questioning, Subramanian added. Nia, a former Combs employee testifying under a pseudonym, detailed one incident where Sean Combs allegedly attacked Cassie Ventura in Ventura's apartment, echoing similar testimony from stylist Deontay Nash. Ventura was packing for an overseas trip when, Nia said, Combs barged in and attacked Ventura while Mia and Nash were present. Combs eventually slammed Ventura's head into a bed frame, and Mia thought he was going to kill her, she testified. When Ventura's head began gushing blood, Combs went into protector mode, Mia continued. She lowered her head recalling the incident, saying it was the first time she realized the danger all of them were in. Sean Combs' former assistant, who was testifying under the pseudonym Mia, said her employer repeatedly assaulted his former on and off girlfriend Cassie Ventura. Mia said she saw Combs attack her Ventura, throw her on the ground, crack her head open, chase her. Ventura never fought back, added Mia, who later became a director of development for Revolt Films, a media company owned by Combs. Asked the number of times she saw Combs be violent toward Ventura, whom she considered to be like a sister, Mia replied, all the time. I don't have a number. Several of Sean Combs' employees have described the complicated relationship they had with their boss, who has been described as a person who could build them up and also shock and disturb them. The former assistant testifying under the pseudonym, Mia recounted a similar workplace dynamic, noting the highs were really high, but the lows were really, really low. When things got bad on the job, Combs once delivered an awesome pep talk that encouraged her to prove herself, she said. Sean Combs' personal assistant said she wasn't allowed to leave Combs' side without his permission, and that she was forbidden from locking her bedroom door while staying with him. The assistant, who was testifying under the pseudonym Mia, said she once left Combs' Los Angeles home after 2 a.m. while her employer was sleeping. She later received a call from Combs' security staff, who had been ordered to find her. She said she hardly saw anyone outside of Combs' world as a result. As for the ban on locks, she said Combs told her, this is my house. No one locks my doors. Mia, the pseudonymous woman now testifying about her experience as Sean Combs' assistant, said she once went 5 days without sleep working for him. My hearing went. It felt like I was underwater. My equilibrium was off, Mia said. Her vision blurred and she burst into tears, she added, describing herself as hysterical and unable to stop crying before Combs told her she could sleep. A former assistant to Sean Combs took the stand Thursday morning, the first of two anonymous alleged victims to testify against him during the trial. The woman, who was using the pseudonym Mia, kept her head down as she detailed the alleged assaults by Combs. "He's thrown things at me. He's thrown me against the wall. He's thrown me into a pool," Mia said, staring at her lap. "He also, sexually assaulted me." The government has called Mia to the stand. Before Mia took the stand, Judge R. Subramanian explained to the jury that Mia was a pseudonym to protect the witness's privacy and that the fact she was using a pseudonym did not mean her testimony had greater or lesser value. The jury and the parties will know Mia's real name, but it will not be used in open court. Under direct questioning from the government Wednesday, Deontay Nash said Cassie Ventura once told him that Sean Combs was making her go to a hotel for a freak-off against her wishes. On cross-examination just now, defense attorney Xavier Donaldson asked why Nash hadn't shared this detail until a May 17th meeting with prosecutors, the day after Ventura's testimony. As is common with witnesses, Nash met with prosecutors several times in the lead-up to the trial. Nash has previously said that he gave prosecutors very little in their meetings, only information they explicitly asked for. When Donaldson asked why new details surfaced in his Wednesday testimony, Nash coolly replied, "It must have been something they asked." Deontay Nash, a stylist who has testified about Sean Combs' alleged abuse toward Cassie Ventura, said under cross-examination that he also helped Ventura find outfits when she took the stand in the trial's first week because she couldn't fit anything and she needed clothes. Ventura testified in her third trimester of pregnancy. She gave birth on Wednesday, showing up the first 2 days in mock turtleneck dresses. She wore a blouse with a bow and a long blazer the following day and concluded her testimony wearing a similar cut jacket in pinstripes. Nash testified that he also spoke to Ventura, whom he considers a close friend, the week she testified, to check up on her and ask how she was doing. He said they did not talk about the case. "You might remember Sean Combs' effort to make voting sexy in 2004. This was back when the Iraq War was raging. John F. Kerry was challenging incumbent George W. Bush for the presidency, and people still called Combs P. Diddy. His Vote or Die campaign was billed as a historic project to increase the hip-hop adjacent youth vote, pulling in the likes of Russell Simmons, 50 Cent and MTV in various capacities. "I'm trying to light the spark and start the flame," Combs was quoted as saying. Cassie Ventura may not have been as jealous of Combs' other girlfriends as the defense implied. According to celebrity stylist Deontay Nash, Sean Combs' defense has argued that his relationship with Ventura was mutually toxic and abusive, and suggested she was especially jealous of a woman named Gina that Combs saw. Nash painted a very different picture, telling a defense attorney, "Honestly, she wasn't that pressed about Gina." He clarified that Ventura felt that Combs' relationships with other women were hurting her career. Deontay Nash has been vocal about how little he has wanted to testify at this trial, but the celebrity stylist appeared keen to volunteer that he was the one who hooked up Cassie Ventura and actor Michael B. Jordan. A defense attorney was cross-examining Nash about events in 2015, when Ventura was in South Africa shooting a film. The attorney was asking the stylist about how Ventura got approval from Combs to shoot the film, when Nash spontaneously volunteered, "Yes, I did hook her up with Michael B. Jordan. He fine, she fine. I mean, why not?" Nash continued. Celebrity stylist Deontay Nash is back on the stand, this time wearing a puffy jacket and loose jeans. Nash complained about the frigid temperature in the courtroom during his testimony Wednesday afternoon, and he wasn't the first to do so. The government is expected to call another alleged victim of Sean Combs' to the stand today, a woman who worked as an assistant to Combs, and who will use the pseudonym Mia in court, alongside Cassie Ventura. Mia is one of a handful of government's witnesses, whose accusations go to the heart of the government's case against Combs. While the jury is out of the room, the court is discussing her upcoming testimony, particularly evidence that the defense wants to introduce during its cross-examination. Defense fails to get psychologist's testimony tossed as junk science. Sean Combs' lawyers couldn't get the judge to strike forensic psychologist Don Hughes' testimony Thursday morning. Hughes testified last week as an expert witness She didn't speak about anyone specific involved in the trial, but explained the general behavior and coping strategies of domestic violence victims. Prosecutors clearly hoped the jury would connect her testimony with their star witness, Cassie Ventura, who testified that she endured years of abuse while in a relationship with Combs. Combs's defense called parts of Hughes's testimony junk science in their motion to strike, specifically referring to the psychologist's comments about how victims may remember certain parts of traumatic events more vividly than others. Judge R. Subramanian rejected that argument as an indictment of the entire field of psychology. In denying the defense's motion, however, Subramanian did tell prosecutors to be careful about how they refer to Hughes's testimony during their closing arguments. Court is running a little behind Thursday morning. Judge R. Subramanian just entered, about 10 minutes behind schedule. Sean Diddy Combs is back in his sweater and white-collared shirt combo. He was in deep conversation with lead counsel Mark Agnafilo before Subramanian took the bench. The morning should see the conclusion of the cross-examination of celebrity stylist Deontay Nash, who was clearly less than enthused to be in federal court Wednesday afternoon. He testified repeatedly that he did not want to be there and was only obeying a government subpoena.